what we're doing here is it's the same draft order. We've already done the first 5 picks on the most recent show. I encourage you, demand you go back and check that out. But in the meantime, we're up to pick number 6 here. Same draft order as we will see in Chicago at the end of the month. Same team needs, same personnel, and so on and so forth. And, of course, it's time for the all-time draft of 2016 presented by McDonald's. Money Monopoly with $100 million food and cash prizes available. There are more prizes than there are players in the history of the NFL. I mention the history of the NFL because rather than just having the pool of collegians that are actually available, I am expanding it to all football players in the history of the Big Blue Marble, save current NFL players, because as Terminator taught us, you can't be in 2 places at one time.
Right.
So you can't take Tom Brady. He's already spoken for by those New England Patriots. Besides that, though, team needs are what's relevant here, and you also need to consider these guys as college prospects. Don't look at John Elway as a guy who has 5 Super Bowl appearances and a Hall of Fame jacket, because, of course, you would still take him. Even if you have a good quarterback on your roster, you would want him. So you have to regard them as collegiate prospects, if you will. So at number 1, the Tennessee Titans decided to choose the backside of their franchise QB, Marcus Mariota. They went with USC's Anthony Munoz. Ryan Leaf to the Browns. That's a shame. They had such a good opportunity to do something special there with all those names. They could have gone like Aikman or somebody like that. You know, they could have gone, I don't know, Randall Cunningham out of UNLV would have been interesting. Instead, Ryan Leaf out of Washington State. We'll see how he does. Reggie White goes to the Chargers. Roger Staubach from the Naval Academy.
He was that touted coming out?
Oh, yeah. He goes to the Dallas Cowboys. And then Deion Sanders. It works perfectly, in fact, because he has his military service. So while Romo plays out the rest of his career, Staubach can go and toil for our military. And then when Romo hangs it up, Staubach's ready to go.
Just jump straight in.
Right.
Then Deion Sanders, what a feat.
Local product.
Yeah, Florida State. Boy, that guy's got wheels on him. So now we move on to the Baltimore Ravens. They have the 6th overall pick. Their team needs are described today for us by draft analysts. You can watch them on Path to the Draft and Mock Draft Live. Bucky Brooks, take it away.
Baltimore Ravens are picking 6, have a ton of needs. Offensive line is an issue. Cornerback is an issue. But I believe they have to look at finding a way to upgrade their pass rush. Fortunately for them, there are a couple guys that are difference makers in this draft. Lawrence Taylor from North Carolina is a guy that has the talent to dominate off the edge. He's a certain upgrade over what they had at the position. Love his first step quickness and burst. Has a knack for getting home to the quarterback. He is someone that I think they seriously should consider. Derek Thomas from Alabama is another guy. Not quite as big as Lawrence Taylor, but just as nasty. Explosive first step quickness. Love his snap count anticipation. Has a knack for executing a bend and burst move. He also has a tomahawk. Either one of these guys could upgrade their pass rush. I think Baltimore has to look at a pass rush to get them back on track.
Boy, I'll tell you what. The all-time draft, to step out of it for a second, whatever you think of it, it's worth watching on YouTube because you get to see the college highlights of these all-time great football players.
And when it's them, it's always like a grown man against kids.
Right.
I
I'm going to throw this offensive lineman there, and then I'm going to
I always wanted to interview people that, like, if you were on Adrian Peterson's high school team, like day 2 of practice freshman year, where you're like, okay, so that guy's going to go do things, and then we're going to try and play football in high school.
I'd say Derrick Henry.
You'd have to know right away, right?
Derrick Henry, I don't know what play in high school he would have ever gotten tackled.
Right.
He's gigantic.
Right.
It would be that thing where you'd be the opposing team and be like, oh, no, we got to tackle that guy.
Yeah.
How big he is. Just before when the teams are stretching.
Like, there was
who's that dude?
Small window in my life in Little League where I was much bigger than all the other kids, and I remember somebody's stepmom yelling, "Well, of course he's going to hit it far. Look at him." And I wonder, people had.
That's how they talk about Shek in those movies.
Right. They say that when I walk into buffets too. But they also had to say, like, J.J. Watt had to get that yelled at him, right? From the sideline. It's not even fair, they would yell or something, right? That had to happen.
Tis no man.
Yeah.
Tis a remorseless eating machine. Handsome, where do you think the Baltimore Ravens should go?
I think the Ravens would be angry to see Reggie White off the board. I think that's where they wanted, but I think you got to go with LT.
I think they're crazy to not be looking at I know he's a small school, but Mississippi Valley State wide receiver Jerry Rice is intriguing.
Could be a difference maker.
Andre Rison out of Michigan State, maybe a little bit of a reach there. Irving Fryer out of Nebraska. But, all right, the pick is in here. With the 6th pick in the all-time draft of 2016, the Baltimore Ravens select, got it right there, handsome, Lawrence Taylor. Outside linebacker, UNC. We move on now. At number 7, it's the San Francisco 49ers. You talk about a lot of holes there. But LT, yeah, I predict that Bucky is right about him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be special.
I think he'll pay off.
I like those wheels that he's got there. Even though he's a little pigeon-toed, if you watch him run there, I think he's going to overcome that nice NFL career. All right, at number 7, it's the San Francisco 49ers. What do they need, Bucky Brooks?
San Francisco 49ers are sitting at pick 7. They need to find a guy that can be the face of the franchise, meaning they need a quarterback. They need someone who can change their fortunes of the franchise by being a dominant player from the pocket. In this draft, they have a ton of guys that are available. You have John Elway, who's right down the road from Stanford. A guy who's a prolific passer, nice athlete, also played baseball. In fact, he was drafted by the New York Yankees. He could be someone they can talk into coming and being a 49er. You also have Dan Marino from the University of Pittsburgh, a guy who is a big, strong arm thrower, likes to operate from the shotgun, but if he has weapons around him, he can get it out of his hands and allow those guys to work. The final option at this pick, to me, Steve Young, coming out of BYU, ultra-athletic playmaker, probably one of the new wave dual-threat quarterbacks that we'll see in the league. I know this is a tough decision for the 49ers. You need a franchise quarterback. Which guy is the right guy for that team?
Yeah, but going from BYU, going from the state of Utah to San Francisco, that'd be a big culture leap.
Yeah.
I don't think Steve Young and the 49ers make any sense together there. Dan Marino, some off-the-field stuff. The Elway thought is a good one.
I'd wait a couple of rounds. There's a kid out of Notre Dame that I think could probably do something. You know, you wait, take Joe Montana in round 3. That could work out
Not
pretty
familiar.
well. And then,
What was his
it's
name again?
Familiar with his name.
Montana, named after the state. Yeah.
Too bad there's not an NFL team in Montana.
Right,
And that would
exactly.
really
that would
would
really
be
work
great.
out.
that would have been really cool. But
So then I would, if I were them, I'd then, maybe see if you can, fill your backfield out. Guy Barry Sanders is a great player out of Oklahoma.
ooh, that's an interesting
Yeah.
call. Yeah, broke a lot of records
Right.
down there in the Big 8. Van Kirk, how say you?
All these guys look good. There's 2 things that I would distinguish it on if I were them. One, Elway's hair flip alone after
Oh, the
throwing
hair
that
is
is a
beautiful.
great
Not
Northern
enough is
California move.
Golden Elway.
Yes, I would maybe consider that. Other than that, I think they've got to sit down with these guys and go with the eye test. Who do you look at and see a winner? And in the interviews that they didn't show there, Dan Marino, I don't know if I see a winner in those eyes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, perceptive. You look in a man's eyes and you can read what he's about.
I saw the movie Draft Day, and I feel like I really can evaluate.
Oh, yeah.
This is a team that succeeded in recent years because of their linebackers. Why not look at Illinois' Dick Butkus? He's got a nasty edge to him. I think he could be a nice fit there. All right, with the 7th pick in the all-time draft of 2016, the San Francisco 49ers select, they go with the golden boy, John Elway, quarterback, Stanford. Yeah, short trip for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just get a couple pals to help him
Look
load
at
up
that.
the back of
That's beautiful.
his car.
His hair, not enough is made of that.
Look at Elway slinging it. Yeah, I think he's going to do well with the 49ers.
I don't think, whatever hair product he has, I don't think they make that shampoo anymore because you don't see people with that.
He looks like he runs the ball well, too, does this John Elway. He's going to be a good scrambler
Wheels.
in the NFL. All right, to the Philadelphia Eagles. So Chip Kelly gets his quarterback. We'll see how that fit works out with Elway. Now Chip Kelly, of course, moves over from Philadelphia. Philadelphia now left without some high-end talent on offense because Chip saw fit to purge a lot of that talent. Let's take a look at what their needs are, Bucky.
Philadelphia Eagles want to get back in contention in the NFC East. They have a ton of needs that they need to consider. You have running back, you have offensive line, you even have some defensive woes in the secondary. But I believe this team should seriously look at the running backs and the guys that are available. Walter Payton, coming out of small school down there in Jackson State, he's a guy that certainly could be adventurous, big-time player, love the way he runs inside and outside, has the speed to get to the perimeter. He is someone that you definitely have to consider. But if you don't like him, you want a guy that is probably the new wave running back. How about Marshall Faulk from San Diego State? The Aztec guy is a guy that not only does it as a runner, a natural receiver. You could probably move him out and play some receiver with him. Depending on how the Philadelphia Eagles want to reconstruct their offense, it's going to be tough. Walter Payton, Marshall Faulk, I don't know if you can go wrong.
Interesting thoughts there. There's a bounty of good running backs available here. You could go with Texas kid Earl Campbell, real banger there. I don't know that he suits that sort of a Ryan Matthews duplicate there, so I don't know you want to go there. Handsome, where are you leaning this?
Well, I don't think I wouldn't trust the Payton kid. I think small school.
Small.
I think this is a
Translate.
huge step for him, and I'm not sure it's going to work out. I mentioned Barry Sanders. The other guy I like is Ricky Williams. I think he could fit right in.
Out of Texas.
Out of Texas. I think he's a kid that could really fit in that offense.
All-time leading rusher in college football, Van Kirk. How say you?
Well, I'm going to be honest here. I know that the need isn't heavy, but I would love to see my Chicago Bears move up from 11 and take this Walter Payton guy. I don't think he's going to be there at that point. They're probably going to end up with somebody like Cedric Benson out of Texas, which, he looks
Great
phenomenal.
Out too.
He looks phenomenal. For the Eagles, I don't think you can pass up on somebody like Walter Payton. The word is also on him, great teammate. And that says a lot about somebody who does more than just their position, really can add a lot of life to the team.
I hear he throws sweet indeed. I hear he throws the ball. I hear he throws a sweet deep ball. So with the 8th pick in the all-time draft of 2016, the Eagles select Walter Payton, running back, Jackson State University. We'll see if handsome cynicism plays out or if the optimism of Van Kirk works out for them. Either way, we move on to number 9, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do they need, Bucky Brooks?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in the NFC South. They are languishing behind the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. They had to find a way to fix their defense to get back in contention. When I look at their needs, they definitely need a pass rusher. They also need a difference maker in the secondary, a corner, safety, someone who can change the game. In this draft, you have a ton of world-class athletes with outstanding football pedigrees. Maybe you go down to Southern Cal. Look at Ronnie Lott, a guy who is a natural cornerback, but he's a very, very smart player, has nice instincts. Maybe someone consider as a guy that you start outside, eventually move inside. If I'm looking at that defensive line, how about Bruce Smith from Virginia Tech? You just don't see guys like that who have a penchant for getting to the quarterback. Tough decision. If I'm in Tampa, I'm trying to figure out which one is going to give me bigger impact. Is it a pass rusher or is it somebody in the back end that can knock balls away and eventually get interceptions?
Ooh, the Hokie. Bruce Smith, he's that's interesting. What about Rod Woodson? We also heard some talk about Ronnie Lott, even for the first overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. Van Kirk, where are you leaning here?
I mean, if he's still there and you're going to take a pass on another guy I like in this league, in this draft, Charles Woodson, I would go Ronnie Lott. I mean, you can really shut down an entire team if you can shut down their passing. If you can just make them one-dimensional, you can win a lot of games.
Yeah, and he's a cornerback, but they also are looking at him as possibly making a conversion to safety. Handsome Hank, how say you?
Last year you drafted Jameis Winston. I want to get him some weapons, and so I think the tight end position is somewhere you could end up looking. And there are 2 guys that I really like: Kellen Winslow Sr. and Kellen Winslow Jr. And if I was the Bucs, I'd probably go with Jr. I just think he's going to turn out to be a better player.
The kid from the U,
yes,
who's the
local
warrior.
Yeah, he's a
You're
warrior.
not
He's
looking
a
at
soldier. He's a soldier.
He's a soldier, so he's not a warrior. I'm
He's
sorry.
not a warrior. He's a soldier.
Right, I get confused. But and then Kellen Winslow Sr.,
Senior.
the guy from Missouri.
Right.
Not him.
Not him, the junior.
I thought you might go with Tony Gonzalez,
No.
Cal. He played basketball while
Really?
at Cal too.
Do you think that's going to translate? I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if it'll have
much.
much value to an NFL team, but all right, with the 9th pick in the all-time draft, Tampa selects Ronnie Lott, cornerback, USC. Well, he's a banger, that's for sure. But in the pass-happy NFC South, you figure he'll add some toughness. That's what the Falcons want to do. He's going to be showing down with Cam Newton now. Cam Newton won't like that. This kid coming full speed from way back in the secondary to deliver a belt on number 1 there. That's going to put a dent into Superman. And now we get to pick number 10, the New York Football Giants. Bucky Brooks, how say you on what they need?
The New York Football Giants are sitting at pick 10, and they have to find a way to rejuvenate their running game. You can do it a couple different ways. You can go and find a running back. Maybe he can change the fortunes by being able to be dynamic inside and outside. Or you can go to the offensive line and find a big tackle that can push the line of scrimmage and allow whoever's in the backfield to find creases. I'm of the mindset that it's time to invest in a big-time running back. This class is loaded with premier runners. Jim Brown from Syracuse, one of the best running backs that we've seen in the college game, a guy who also played lacrosse, very athletic, love his balance and body control. How about Earl Campbell, the Tyler Rose from Texas, physical running back, establishes a presence on the inside by being able to run over linebackers between the tackles. And then you have a little kid from Pittsburgh, Tony Dorsett, Heisman Trophy winner, explosive on the perimeter. Man, I know if I'm looking at the running back position, I got to figure out what style fits my team. But either way, 3 talented options on the board. Tough decision for whoever's in charge.
Yeah, not even a mention of Barry Sanders, who
Yeah.
you've been singing some songs about there. Yeah, a lot of different ways you can go. This Dorsett's got wheels. That's his chief virtue.
I mean, right there, it didn't even look like he was trying to run.
No.
Blowing past people.
And yet he tried hard enough to set the all-time record for rushing yards, ultimately broken by Ricky Williams. Dan Van Kirk, where are you looking if you're
I think even though there's a coaching change in New York, there's still a team that wants to play a lot of smash mouth, run the ball football, and I think you can do that best behind the guy. What is Brown? Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Just from what I saw there, he looked like
they
somebody
say
who
he's
could
the
really.
best lacrosse player.
Yeah, I've
in the
never
history
seen him
of-
Oh.
play football. I've seen him play lacrosse.
Now I bet that would translate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking, Handsome?
I mean, I totally agree with Dan. I think they need two big guys to choose from, but I go Brown.
All right, well, so we'll see what they do here. It's worth noting, too, the Giants have been around forever, for as long as the NFL's been around. Isn't it weird that Tiki Barber and Lorenzo Hampton are their 2 best running backs ever?
Yes.
You think, Jim Brown or Earl Campbell, wow, they'd be perfect Giants, except that they'd be way better than any running back that the Giants have ever had.
Yeah.
Right.
Frank Gifford is actually probably their best
Joe
hybrid
Morris
running
had some
back.
good years.
Joe Morris was good, and Otis Anderson was good, but it's
But-
weird that the all-time leading rusher in
Yeah.
Giants history is Tiki Barber, and number 2 is Lorenzo Hampton.
Well, it's another.
Rodney Hampton.
It's another episode.
Rodney Hampton.
It's another episode, but Bears are the charter franchise of the NFL, and you can do the same thing when you want to talk about quarterbacks.
Right.
They've got one decently to slightly mediocre quarterback, and he's the greatest they've ever had by far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very strange. All right, the 10th pick in the all-time draft.
That's
the
Cade
New York
McMillan.
Giants select Jim Brown, running back, staying in state from Syracuse. He moves down 44. We'll see what number he chooses to wear for the Giants, but a classic team with a guy who, projects to really be dynamite. Kind of maybe fair to say he's like a poor man's Brandon Jacobs, Handsome Hank,
I think that's a good way of looking at him.
at minimum.
That's
Yeah,
what they're
we're
trying to.
hopefully-
They're
hopefully.
trying to recapture that
Yeah.
kind of
All right,
performance.
speaking of recap, Munoz goes to the Titans, Leaf to the Browns, Reggie White from UT is a Charger now, Staubach from the Navy goes to the Cowboys. That seems like a good fit. Deion Sanders stays in state. He's a Jaguar. LT Lawrence Taylor from UNC is a Raven. Elway to the Niners. Payton, Walter Payton. Funny because Sean Payton is already in the league. Now we have a couple of Paytons in the league now. So he goes to the Eagles. Ronnie Lott goes to Tampa. And Jim Brown goes to the Giants. And that's it for the all-time draft of 2016 presented by McDonald's Money Monopoly.